show today, boys. Hell of a show. Not really any way to put it, so let's just kick it off. It is Thursday, February 18th. Welcome over to Liver Sports Talk. Here, McCauley, Zach Rothenberger, Jack Hatcherbone, kicking off a cold, snowy Thursday evening here in the Philadelphia area, which, I mean, it's ground zero in the sports world, I feel like. And, you know, Chad, as you jumped on before, you know, a little pre-show chit-chat, yeah, I'm proud of you for putting that up.
Yeah, I mean, one last go-around.
Yeah.
I don't know. I gave him the jersey. I wore the jersey the last game of the season as one more go around for him, kind of knowing that was going to be the end of it. It's been a weird couple of months with him, but like every time he played in the jersey, he gave it his all, and you have to respect that.
It's the guy who threw a touchdown pass on a torn ACL.
Exactly. Yep.
But all right, I'll tell you. There's a lot. It's funny to that point. Look at how much I have right here. Like, this is just notes on one trade. I was actually thinking about that. I was like, holy Christ! Like, it's one page of a full trade notes. Like, you just don't see that. And like, I mean, Zach, you got your Giants hat on. I know you're feeling some type of way about today. But no, but on a more serious note, I know it's an interesting. We have an interesting blend on this show because, Chad, I know, like, and that's the thing that's great, you know, with the conversations like with you, Joe P, John, like today, right? Like, and my dad, like very sober fans, like, right, like, you know what's going on. Like, I don't think, and I'm sure you're gonna have this take later on. Like, obviously, there's a lot to unravel, but like, this isn't like an earth-shattering moment, right? Like in time, right? Like, there's a lot of issues inside the Eagles. We'll get to them. Carson Wentz obviously had some of his issues last year, and now he's going to a different setting, which we'll get to about that, and we'll talk about his issues, right? Like, so we'll get to the whole thing. We'll unravel all that, and I'll tell you, to that point, I'll just tease the whole show, guys. And then spring training getting kicked off. Little pitchers and catchers, Chad. I know you're excited about that as a former catcher yourself. And then March Madness starts 4 weeks from today. That's pretty exciting. I'm excited. And then Lake Tahoe, NHL. Well, let's do some hockey talk. We haven't done that in a minute. And then also, this is the best part about our listeners, like all of them, whether it's the chat, you know, on social media. It's really cool reconnecting with Ian Leckway, reaching out to us, Zach from the Shanahan days. And he had a really cool idea for a talking point tonight, which I absolutely love. And this is what I love from the listeners. Like, yeah, I absolutely want to hear all this different stuff. And like feedback, suggestions, like all that cool stuff, because this is a really cool segment. So we obviously were talking about on Monday, or sorry, I guess when we did normally we do the show on Monday, but we did on Tuesday this week. But this whole idea of like, if we could go to a certain event in, you know, the world or whatever, right? Like that whole back and forth we did. So he had a cool idea of like, what's one of the best traditions in sports and one of the worst. So we'll break all that down and have a great show. But I'll tell you, you know what? Let's get a little clickbait going. Zach, you want to get started here?
Yeah, why not? Mine's pretty plain Jane. I mean, this is something that I feel like I see it every year, though. It was regarding the Yankees, and it was, you know, Boone was confident that the Yankees the championship roster. I mean, first of all, what is he supposed to say? I mean, like, no, we're not winning it this year. Like, I don't care if you're the worst team in the league, you're gonna have to you need that mindset, right? Like going into it, like that you have a chance to win or go deep. So I just don't know why it's a headline slash even on ESPN, like. Every team probably says the same thing. So just because it's the Yankees, I guess they have to throw it out there because it's the Yankees. So I don't know. Nothing earth-shattering, but it's just annoying.
That's just the typical beginning of spring training, like good team, and you're searching for things to ask about. So that's where those type of answers come from.
Yeah. What he should have said is, if we can stay healthy, then we have a chance to win the championship. Damn it.
Yeah.
It's like when you go on your local news website and there's an article saying like they're sawing the roads for the storm tomorrow. It's like, okay, like of course.
Oh, really?
Really? How about that? You know, it's the same idea. It's funny too because I'm looking at like Chad and I, like our clickbaits. It's like Carson Wentz related. Would you believe it? By the way, what's going on, Uncle Rick? You got him cooking in the chat already. We got to hear from the chat tonight. This would be obviously a hot one. With all the Carson Wentz stuff and us being located in the Philadelphia area, and you know, this is gonna be a live one tonight, folks. But anyway, so to that point, and you know what's funny? I want to hear from the Aussies, dude. Zach, can you give us a little backdrop real quick before we just dive in? Let's just get sidetracked for a split second, and then before we rev up our engines on the Carson Wentz thing.
Yeah, I know the Aussies have showed us a lot of love over in Australia. We're on their all-time rankings list, you know, on the podcast charts. So you know, we appreciate love from across the pond, I guess you want to call it, but on the Pacific side.
Big pond.
And
huge.
Yeah,
It's like the Longwood Gardens thing.
Australia's on one of my list of places to get to. So maybe we can arrange something.
Big Ben Simmons guy here too. So
That's
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, absolutely. So think about that. That's our bucket list for the show. We got to do a show in Australia at one point. That'd be so much fun.
And
I heard it's not. And it's not Melbourne, it's Melbourne. I heard that's how you say it. So, yeah.
There you go.
A little fun fact for us.
We're English is like we're very bad at speaking. Like everyone gets on us. Like we pronunciate stuff horribly.
Yeah. Like, what does John mean? Just like, no, I actually still don't know. But all right. Yeah, right. Well, to it. This John Carson Wentz is no more. All right, there you go. That was horrible. But all right, I tried Chad. And it's funny because that's your Twitter handle, Breaking John, which I like, or Breaking Chad.
It's Breaking Chad, and then John's 316.
Okay, there you go. So, all right, that's a lot of Northeast Philly right there.
Well, that dates back to you like this because you were all into when I was a big John Giannini guy. Oh yeah. Any time at LaSalle, we would just replace anything John with John. So.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So like I'm one of I think like 3 people that still have it in our Twitter handles or bios, but like.
Hey, gotta keep
John 316, like that's not really a lot of style. So
yeah,
no, that's perfect. I think it's really good.
All right, let's jump into this. So, all right, Chad, our clickbaits are pretty much in the same avenue. Do you want to I'll let you go first though with yours.
So mine was Brendan Deeg, who tweeted out Carson Wentz was the most talented quarterback Philadelphia has ever had. And Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie completely blew it. So, second half of that, completely true. Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie did completely blow it. But let's take a huge halt on the first half there as Carson Wentz being touted as the most talented quarterback in Philadelphia history. Donovan McNabb, he went to, 5 NFC Championship games and a Super Bowl. Granted, he didn't win any of them, but like to go to that many and play in that many playoff games, had to be doing something right as quarterback. And mind you, he had one season, that was it, where he had better wide receivers than Carson Wentz had his time here. And during that season, it was Terrell Owens, and he got hurt. What was that, week 7, 8? And didn't play again until the Super Bowl. So realistically, he had like half a season with a better wide receiver than Wentz. So that's number 1. Randall Cunningham and Ron Jaworski right off the top of the head as well. And we didn't draft him, but you might forget Michael Vick played in this town too. Like that guy's one of the best dual threat quarterbacks of all time. So that is just clickbait. Like it's not even close to
like
true.
What is it? Like exactly. Like so. What like is that if everyone agrees, is Carson Wentz going to come back all of a sudden? Like
Yeah, I don't know.
He's talented, but he's not the most talented.
Well, I'll just keep the Carson Wentz mobile going here with. This is like I don't know really clickbait, but it's just one of those like kind of trolling, I guess. This was back in June 2019. The quote was, "By no means is the work done. We're just getting started." Carson Wentz. Him and Doug shaking hands. Vibes were high. Not anymore. I mean, considering they're both gone. I mean, seriously, we can sit here and be like, "Oh my God!" Like, could you imagine when the coronavirus started that this has happened? Like, all right, but like, come on, like, let's. I just can't believe it. I can't believe it. Right? It's unbelievable. And then, real quick, actually, let's get back real quick to your clickbait because Joe had a good comment in the chat too that Donovan and Carson's numbers like in the first 5 years were actually pretty similar. Like, so, like, this idea, like, so let's kind of, I'll put that, like, let's flow this into, like, kind of this idea that I want to just kind of kick it to you, Chad, here. So, like, how big of a trade is this, right? Like, so, and I'm going to just kind of throw, like, 9 things on your plate, so just get ready to start juggling, because there's this whole, like, Carson Wentz got traded, the world needs to stop. Right, but at the same point, like you just look at what Joe was saying, that him and Donovan's numbers were relatively identical for the first 5 years. You only had one bidder in the Colts, hence why this kind of just stalled out like an animal that like should have been put down 2 weeks ago, but like for whatever reason they weren't. Like this is one of those things to me where I step back. I don't know what to think. Like because at the one hand, I think he's going to do pretty well with Indianapolis, but at the same point, like it's fair to kick back and say like, was he the problem? Like where? Like just make sense and actually just make sense of all that. It's just take all the balls and start juggling them. Go ahead, because I believe in you, fellas. Like
so, yeah, it was definitely drawn out, and it was a long time coming, which is why, excuse me, why I don't understand like the explosion from Twitter and any of the other social mediums, because we knew this was going to happen. Like we talked about this on the show the other day, and Zach was even saying that he thought it was going to go even longer, and it still will be going even longer for people like Deshaun Watson. But like we know it's happening. It's not like a surprise. This didn't just come out of nowhere and all of a sudden he was traded. Like we knew it was going to happen. So that part I'm still very confused on. But as for him going to the Colts and probably going to be pretty good, I think you're right. And the reason I think you're right is because he pretty much showed us last year that he's a very good quarterback, but the very good quarterback ends when he has absolutely nothing around him. Now, you might be like, well, what does that mean? Like, it's very hard for any quarterback to be good when he has nothing around him. Aaron Rodgers comes to my head as someone that's like, oh, it doesn't matter. Like,
I'm going to stop you there because it does matter.
Well, okay, but Rodgers never had the season Wentz had. He was never the worst quarterback in the NFL.
No, that's fair.
So, like that's just where I'm at with it.
Like, here's the thing. Like, not to interrupt. I'm looking at this B-roll of him like right now, like making these throws, and I'm just like, why did this couple break up? Like, they had one fight, like when they were hammered, and it's like it happens. Okay, it was an ugly fight. Like they shoved each other or whatever. Like you can't still. Like, how is this not like? How they not fix this?
Well, because I think it goes like layers, or has layers, I should say. It wasn't just quarterback and coach. It was quarterback and coach. It was quarterback and GM. It was the media against the quarterback. It was the fans against the quarterback. And when you bring all of that together, it's very hard to succeed. Like if you went to work every single day and you had problems with your boss, you can get over that. Like we all have it. It's happened to all of us. Like you just deal with it. That's life, right? But if you went into work every day and your boss hated you and all your coworkers hated you and then all your clients that you worked with hated you, you would just be saying like, screw this. Like I need to find a new job. I need to go somewhere else. Like this is not going to ever work for me. And even if like one or two of those things improve, I'm still dealing with like four other people that are still very mad at me. So it was just one of those things where I don't think Howie getting fired would have done anything for Wentz's confidence on the Eagles. And I don't think Doug's firing did anything for Wentz's confidence on the Eagles. So it was just going to be another horrible year for him if he stayed on this team.
Zach, sorry, let me let you please, like you're in this. You're like the stepchild in this is the Giants fan where you're just like I have a say, but like you're not there's no blood, obviously, but you're very much impacted by what's going on in this family of the NFC East, if you will.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything Chad said. I mean, it was just one of those situations that was extremely toxic, and I'll try to piece together another brilliant relationship analogy like you, Karen, but it's almost like you're in a relationship, you fight once, and then there's friends starting rumors and going behind your back, saying all this stuff, lying, and you know, constantly defaced and all that stuff, and it's extremely toxic, and I think it had to end, and I think Wentz is going to be just a nice fresh start. It's going to be probably greener pastures for him, reuniting with Frank Reich, the offensive coordinator. They seem to have a really good relationship, and the offensive line that he's got in Indy is one of the best in the league. So that's going to be
and the running game. That's another thing.
Yeah.
Like in 2017, when he had that breakout year, Miles Sanders wasn't on the team, but we had when Jay Ajayi joined the team mid-season, we had three pretty solid running backs in Ajayi, LeGarrette Blount, and then Corey Clement, who hasn't been a shell of himself since 2017. looked like he was going to be one of the best rookie running backs like the Eagles have had in a long time.
Much like the Colts with a three-headed running attack with Hines, Mack, and I think I'm not sure if any of those guys are free agents, and obviously Taylor.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't see Mack.
Right, but obviously he got this year.
He's going to be back. Yeah.
But and looking at the chat too, from always number one fan of the Twitch chat, so like asking the question of like, was this more that Wentz wanted to move on from the Eagles, or the Eagles wanted to move on from Wentz? And from what I heard from just like before, I was watching a little bit of like the Eagles trade special on NBC Philly with Barkan and like the Eagles crew basically, and John Clark essentially paid like, and this is, I'm gonna almost flow this into a talking point too. It almost makes it sound like it's a relationship. Like the Eagles didn't want to do this, like they had to though, and like it was better for everybody. It was a clean break. Like they basically are talking about this like it's a high school relationship where it's like one person's going to one school and the other person's going to the other, and it had to be a clean break. Like like whatever, like all that. Like it to me, like I keep sitting here saying like, why couldn't it work? And I'll tell you why it couldn't work, because of the GM, right? Like, and Joe had such a good point. We were talking about this earlier. He was saying like, right, like the coach is gone, the franchise quarterback, quote unquote, is gone. Like basically, if you want to put this into like a pie of like thirds, why did the GM? Why is that third stay? Like if it was that bad, where you just had to basically clean everybody out, and I'm sure like Ertz obviously be gone, and Kelsey might be gone. Right, like, and they're going to make a lot more moves. This is the first domino to fall for the Eagles offseason, but the biggest probably, but obviously the first. And to me, it's like, why does Howie Roseman stay? Because how can like look here, like look at this. First of all, like there's so many different ways to look at this, but like there's like I'll pull up some tweets here. So you look at this, like they chose Wentz over Foles. They give him 120. I mean, like right, like I don't have to go through this whole thing with you guys. You understand? Like just all I keep thinking is like whether. This guy's drafted picked poor coaches. The way I look at it is usually you fire a GM when there's mistakes made throughout like the roster, the coaching staff, like all those things. Like the guy doesn't get to pick a couple different ones, right? Like look at the Bears, for example. They went with Nagy, they went with Trubisky. Like this is it for them. Like that's not right now for Ryan Pace and for Nagy. Like they're on their like you don't get 3 strikes in this. You get 1. Like, and that's why I don't get about like how he's still there.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're good. It's got to be just the amount of time he's spent in the organization, and Jeffrey Lurie just basically having the same issue that Howie has with not being able to let go of the old-time veterans that have been around for a while, which that's in the GM role. That's essentially what Howie is. Like he wasn't a GM the whole time, but he has been with the Eagles for 2 decades now. Like it's getting close to that. It's getting very close to that. But I also thought there was an interesting tweet from Derek Gunn. I don't remember the exact wording, but he was basically saying like what Joe was saying is the quarterback's gone, the head coach is gone, but like there's a huge cloud over Philadelphia, and that doesn't feel right. And that's so true. Like when you get rid of a quarterback that was supposedly the problem, or the coach that was supposedly the problem, like the city kind of feels differently, and it's like, okay, well, we have a new regime coming in. Like I don't even think Eagles fans care that Nick Sirianni's the coach. Like no one's even like gotten into that yet. So
especially because
it's so bizarre.
And let me jump in here, not to interrupt you, but like I think because of the flavor of how last year failed, and how there was like, oh, Jeff Lurie like kind of wants to pop in and have his say, and oh, Howie Roseman kind of has his say, and they didn't do themselves any favors with those press conferences, basically making it sound like this is like the weirdest way of analogizing is like Catholicism, how like there's like the Trinity of like the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit type thing. Like I think they look at like coaching, GM, and ownership like it's all one. We're all one unit of the Eagles, if you will. But like, whereas like with everybody else, it's like, no, the coach is the coach, the GM is the GM, and the owner is the owner. Like, right, like, and there's this like, and there's like lines drawn out in the sand. I don't see them. And to your point, Chad, I think that's why people are just kind of like, what does it matter if it's Sirianni? Like the poor guy is the jack in the deck of cards. Like the king and the queen are still going to outrank him. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just like that. That's what this feels like. And let me just add. So I had this tweet up earlier with Zach Berman put up earlier was. Just the Eagles spent 5 draft picks to acquire Carson Wentz in 2016. They gave him a $128 million contract 20 months ago, right, less than 2 years ago, and now they're taking a cap hit, the biggest in NFL history, I believe, of $33 million, to basically get him off the books and they got a 3rd round pick for that, and maybe a first, but a second at worst after that the year after, right? Like, so how does that? And Mike Missile was saying on today on the Fanatic how basically it's like almost like basically you bought the stock at a certain price, now it's on the dollar, now it's pennies. Right, like that's how I feel. How's that like the guy who said, "Hey, let's do that" in the stockbroker room? Like, how is he not fired?
Well, I mean, you're right in the comment, but I do want to just clear something up because I've been seeing it all day and pretty much a couple months now. Yeah, we're in a terrible spot, and Howie has done some terrible stuff, but like the whole worst cap situation like of all time, like that statement, that's literally just because of what time we're living in. Like everybody's getting paid insane amounts, and the guy that we messed up on is that guy. Like every other 4 in the top 5 of that list, it's like Jared Goff, it's Matt Stafford, it's all these guys that just left. Like it's the money that's going on right now.
I'll almost analogize it this way. It's like, right, like if you get in a fight with your wife, right, like you're gonna do whatever it takes to for the kids, like the whole get up. Right, there's a lot more on the line to make it work. Whereas if it's like your second date and you're at the movies and like someone says something offensive, and like
but that's what I'm saying.
I guess my point is I'm saying, like, why couldn't they make this work?
They couldn't, but beyond that, it's like it's a big mess up. I'm not saying it's not a big mess up. What I'm trying to outline here is if we put every single contract in terms of where they would be right now, there's no chance that that's the worst one of all time. That's all I'm saying. Like that is just being overused right now because it's Philadelphia, and clear example of how everything gets twisted and turned in Philadelphia. Have you seen what everybody's saying about Carson Wentz now, by the way? Like the Indianapolis Colts are Super Bowl favorites, and he's going to have a breakout year. Like literally the second he got traded, it all got flipped. He's the best quarterback of all time again. So
the Colts are good.
The city drives me crazy.
Yeah, it's interesting for sure. I feel like going back to the comment on Howie Roseman and Jeff Lurie, I feel like they're almost like it's like a Fortune 500 company that might perform well on the stock sheet, but internally they're just like there's toxic turmoil everywhere. It just is, I don't know. I mean, for your sake, Chad, and Eagles fans, hopefully they can turn something around. And there's a long road though.
The balance sheet is off.
The balance sheet is off. There's some insider trading going on.
Well, and I'm laughing at the chat. What Joe was saying about Mac. So Mac will be a free agent for the Colts, by the way. Thanks, Joe, for throwing that. See, like this is what I love about the chat, like helping us out here with these little tidbits. But you say I see the Eagles signing him and get hurt again. And what Ryan was saying about, you got to clean house, right? Like, and I like what always what Fan was saying too about how like it's like quitting your like. Here's actually let me ask you this because this is what they're saying. I'll kind of ask it to you guys in this analogy. Do you agree that like this idea that the Eagles moved on from Wentz because he wanted to move on and the whole get up because they drafted Jalen Hurts, which I get that whole take. But the question being in the chat board be like, is this like quitting your day job and not having one to fall back on? Like is that like is Hurts the job you wanted? Is that a lateral move? Is that a vertical move? Like where what do we see with that? Like with his whole stock?
I mean, I don't know. That's a tough question. I do think he showed enough last year that like what we have to remember is he played behind the same crappy offensive line that Carson Wentz played behind. He played with the same crappy wide receivers that Carson Wentz played with. So people are trying to make this case that he got worse in every game that he played in. Just fine, but if you go back to Wentz's rookie year, he started 4-0, and that team was rolling, and then we ended up finishing 7-9. So he only won 3 of the last. Terrible with my math here. we only won 3 games to finish the year after going 4-0. Sorry, it's been a long week.
No, it's been a long day with all of it.
So like a quarterback in the rookie year. Yeah, they're going to go through ups and downs, but I think he showed enough with the arm accuracy, with the arm strength, and with the running that leads you to believe that if we have a good offensive line and some weapons around him, he's going to be a pretty good quarterback in this league. So I think we're in an okay spot next year. We're eating that money with Wentz, which is not good, but if he was on the team, we were eating that money anyway, and we would have had the same Wentz and Hurts debate all season long, which I hope this report about us bringing in somebody to push Jalen along is like, I hope it's not someone good. Like, it's weird. It seems weird to say that, but if you want him to get, if you want him to be pushed,
it would be like Trubisky, would it?
I don't know, but like if you want him to be pushed, that's fine. But please don't start this whole drama that we just went through. Like, it's obviously was not good. It was not good. I don't know why we go right back into it.
Well, and let me ask you. Sorry, Zach, do you have something?
I was just gonna say, I feel like for the Eagles it was a lateral move, but with upside, and I feel like with Hurts there isn't any baggage right now because he's so fresh in the Philly area, and with the team still there is no conflict necessarily, and I think he has a pretty decent ceiling for you guys. I really do. I mean, he showed flashes last year. I know for me, I wasn't high on Hurts going into the draft last year just because of some accuracy issues, but I mean, he seemed to have cleared those up for the most part, I'd say, in his brief stint from this past season. So I think there's high upside in Philadelphia for him.
There is a little bit of a flying by the seat of their pants flavor, though, with this Eagles. Like, I don't know. Like, there's just like Sirianni. Like, I don't know. There's just something about this that just doesn't seem right. But, I mean, I don't know. Now, I will say this. Can we just – and I want to play this clip real quick. You guys remember this one from, like, the NFL films, and Chad, I hate doing this. But for the audience, the one with Doug talking to John Lynch when the 49ers came to town the Super Bowl year. Let me run this because – this is why I feel like you have to blame Howie Roseman 100% because not so much like, Chad, remember that? Remember that when all the vibes were good? But the way I look at it is I think to myself, how do you vote from grace like that?
You want to know who was at that game?
You?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was there. I don't go to many Eagles games in person. I was at that one.
I think John might have been at that one too.
Yeah, it was
a blowout.
It was a blowout, and it was a rainy day, and that's why I was there. I was supposed to be going down to a tournament. Tournament got rained out. Somebody from All-Star had tickets, didn't want to go sit in the rain. I was like, okay, well, I'll go sit in the rain in your season tickets, and took them for free, went to the game, and now that's going to be the game that haunts us for the rest of time because of that comment.
And to that point, I'll roll the comment for the fine audience.
About a player really, truly, until you get him in your building and you can work with guys. This kid's unbelievable. The way he prepares, the way he practices, and for this city, it's unbelievable. Yeah, it's been fun. As long as we don't screw him up, right? On the gas.
Oh, God help us. That's just, it's like the foreshadowing. It's like Game of Thronesy, where it's like, you're going to make it out of the battle, I swear. And it's like, no, they're not. They're going to get like a hatchet in the face, like at some point in the movie, like, or the TV show. It's I don't know. I just think to me, I just look at it and I think it just to me paints a picture how different. Like, how does this happen? Like, you don't see this happen, Zach. Right? Like a franchise court. Like, and I'm not even trying to pick on you, right? Like, you're looking right now at DJ, and it's like that's how fine tuning you are. It's like you're in that like the part of like making alcohol where it's like you're starting to get to the end of it where like you're looking at the color now, like the texture. It's like, okay, like can we drink this? Like. Right, like, but it's important. Like, that's how tight of a process it is, right? Like, so I don't know how you can just like how this. I just don't. I never. To me, this is one of the most bizarre trades I've ever seen as a sports fan. I know that sounds like an over dramatic take and it's like clickbait, but I just all of it to me is just so vexing. If you'd told me 2 years ago that Carson Wentz wouldn't be an Eagle, I would have laughed and said there's like a 0% chance, unless he had like a career-ending injury and like someone wants to take a flyer on him or something like that. Like there's no way.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I know my outlook on the Eagles always had Wentz, at least over the last couple of years, had Wentz as their franchise guy for another 10 years or so. So it's definitely a shock. You don't see it often, like you said. And, yeah, I mean, it's a surprise. I mean, it's just a shame. And I think that if the Eagles would have equipped him with a better offensive line or some better resources around him, I think he could have flourished. And I think there could have been many, better years. But, like I said, I think they got something decent with Hurts, so we'll see. But it's a shock because it's a short-term relationship that had everything. It could have been the real deal, I guess.
And Chad, I'm gonna roll two questions into one. It's a compound question. one, how much does the media like have a role in this homicide, if you will, of Carson Wentz's career in Philadelphia? And two, I'm going to pull up this tweet. You saw it, the one we were talking about earlier when we were texting each other about. Giulio tweeted about how he said today is a great day for the Philadelphia Eagles. And John Marks, I thought, did a phenomenal job putting in his place and saying today's not a great day for the Eagles. You know, and this is what the tweet said. Today's not a great day for the Eagles. Yes, moving on from Wentz needed to happen, and I'm happy it's over, but in all caps. This is an organizational failure. The trade doesn't change the fact that the team is old, expensive, and short on talent with a GM that nobody trusts. Like, right? Like, that's such a good spin. It's like, this is not a good day. This is like the person, like, if you did break up and all of a sudden you're like, your one friend's trying to pick you up off the mat and they're just like, you know, this is actually a good thing. You didn't need them. You didn't need them. You got this. It's your life. You got it. It's just like, everyone's just like, shut up. Like, you know, it's like, right? Like, that's what I kind of see with, like, it's not a great day.
No, it was definitely.
And he's probably, his hands are all over it. Like, you know what I mean? You know, Giulio was tweeting all about Wentz. I'm sorry, not to cut you off, right? Like, how much, especially like just WIP in general. And I loved what your tweet was, Chad, earlier, just going after him about this whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, so like here's where I was at today. Like, I wasn't mad. And I told you guys that I wasn't mad. Like, again, we knew this was coming. If anyone was like super upset and pissed off about the trade, like, then you just weren't paying attention the past couple months. Like, this was going to happen. We had all the time in the world to prepare ourselves for it. But it was just sad. Like this was the guy we traded up to get. This was the guy that had an MVP-like season and for all intents and purposes took us to the Super Bowl. Like, I know Foles finished the job there, but that football being the team sport that it is, number one team sport in all of sports, that team's confidence doesn't come unless Carson Wentz is the quarterback to start that year and just built the team that he did. Like, that team was firing on all cylinders. They were a great group of guys. They were close. The religion factor was a huge one on that team. They were like, Doug Peterson shared it, Ertz shared it, Wentz shared it, Bradham shared it. I believe Lane Johnson.
Baptism is going on in the hotel pool, like on road games. Like, that's good stuff. Like, yeah,
like it was. They
were Titan style bondage.
They were all bonding like that entire season, and it all stemmed from Wentz. So, it was a sad day overall. But yeah, you're right. I can't stand the media in this city, especially 94.1. Like, all they do is trash every single athlete in this city constantly. But then when there's big moments like there are today, they just bounce into this, like, we need to make everybody believe that we're the good guys kind of take and put out stuff that should be coming from WIP if they weren't the ones that were shitting on the guy nonstop. So, like I said, they went at Wentz for at least the last 3 months, but I'm going to say the last 2 years because that's what I've seen. And then they put out a top 5 of Wentz's best throws while being an Eagle and said, "Thanks for giving us everything you had, Carson. We'll never forget that 2017 season," with a trophy emoji. So my response was to WIP really just tweet this. The radio station that outside of, and I tagged Ike Reese, completely destroyed Wentz's reputation is saying this, ? You don't get to say shit like this, not when you acted the way you did over the course of the last 3 seasons. Disgrace. Which is true. Like, when you're acting like that, you don't just get to say, like, sorry, I didn't mean it. Like, you did mean it, and with a fan base as crazy as our fan base, when you start saying that stuff over and over and over again, the people that aren't so smart, and I'm sorry, like, there are people in that fan base. There's people in every fan base. There's smart fans. There's it's not smart is a bad word. There's fans that are super into the sport. Yeah, there's fans that are super into the sport, and there's fans that are just like, I'm a fan of the Eagles, like that, and they don't know much about it. So when you just constantly say, like, the quarterback that's supposed to be the franchise quarterback stinks and he's terrible and he's bad for the organization and he's a type A personality that only cares about himself over and over and over again, and you feed into these stories that are just hand spoon fed to you by somebody that just doesn't like the guy in the locker room, stop. Like, it needs to stop at some point. And I know I'm getting angry and frustrated, but this
I love Joe even for curse words, chat. In the chat, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, like,
It's emotional. I get it.
It's really frustrating because it all stems from these people coming at the best players in our city. It's happening to Joel Embiid. It happens to Ben Simmons. I turned off Aaron Nola's press conference yesterday 3 questions into it because the third one was literally asking him what his thoughts were on a 6-man rotation to make sure that he was rested enough to begin the season. And he literally responded like, nobody's ever talked about a 6-man rotation. I don't know where you got that from. And yeah, I want to start 30 to 35 games this year. Like, that's where it starts. Those stupid questions you make up just to fuel the fire. I hate it. It is a Philadelphia thing. And it just needs to stop. I'm sorry. That's the rant. It's over.
That's a hell of a soapbox. I loved it. Roll round of applause. All right, Zach, you're the encore. Let's get going.
I was gonna say, do you think the team feels a little bit of weight off their shoulders now? So now, like, this media attack on their quarterback is gone, and it's kind of like a fresh slate, and the dust is going to be settling soon with that. Do you think the team feels? I
mean, they probably do, but I can tell you firsthand that it's not going to stop.
Well, I was about to say, let me chime in there. So there's 2 things real quick. I want to throw a stat out there that I saw that was wild. Did you see that all the quarterbacks drafted in the first round between 2009 and 2016, none of them were on their original team? I guess now Wentz and Goff got moved on. But let me flip it back over to that. So you guys were saying, like Zach, you're saying, like, so the Eagles feel weight off their shoulder with, like, no more quarterback drama. Well, now all of a sudden you're hearing about this Justin Fields thing. First of all, I love Joe. So, like, if you guys draft him, like, he might not be alive, like, that the rest of that night, like, as a loyal Eagles and Penn State fan. So, like, that can
really be a thing.
What's that? Yeah. There's really traction on Twitter about Chad. I mean, I'll tell you from an Eagles perspective, Chad, break that down for us, like, because let me add one caveat, just because I want, like, so you don't have to go through, like, the generic takes and all that stuff. My spin on this is, all right, well, it's mid-February, end of February. This is the exact time where if you're in that position where teams need, like, 6 is the perfect spot to trade up, like, and get a quarterback, right? Like, so, and I don't know, like, if I said to you guys, like, last week, hey, the Eagles need a quarterback at 6, like, you guys are like, no, you got, like, offensive line help, like, defensive help, like, all that stuff. But they, like, I mean, but if I said, like, yo, did you hear that they want a quarterback? Like, no one would bat an eye at that. So it's interesting because it's like, they're almost trying to get that stock up. It's like, hey, by the way, I don't know, honestly, like, I got to look at the draft order, but, like, whoever's at, like, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, it's like, you need a quarterback? Like, you need one? You sure you don't need one? Like, there's Zach Jones, like, there's Justin Fields, right? Like, so I'm not shocked by hearing all this, like, oh, by the way, like, they want Justin Fields. Not to mention, like, not to be clickbait material, like, just to entertain the hypothetical, if you had him and Hurts, it would probably be the same designed offense, right? Like, so it's not one of those things where it's like, what, like Trubisky and Foles, where they're different types of guys, right? Like, so throwing a lot at you guys, but I guess it makes sense of this whole Justin Fields thing. So, like, is there, like, do you believe it, or is this just a smoke screen?
Zach can go first. I've been dominating on first today.
No, I wanted you to, because you're closer to this than I am.
All right. So then I have two things on that, and the first one is, see, I'm almost opposite of what you think here. Like, if you're going to go quarterback, you take, like, a Mac Jones because it's something different than you have. Like, if
Hurts is at 6, Jesus Christ, you
can trade around to draft Mac Jones.
Oh, I thought you said, wait,
I'm
the
talking
kid
about
from Alabama?
the Alabama quarterback.
Oh my God, no!
Okay, well, both the guy from
I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
Both the guy from BYU and Justin Fields are the same exact quarterback as Jalen Hurts. So if Jalen Hurts and his offense aren't working, why the hell would another guy that's his same height and his same weight throwing inaccurate passes, which is his MO, why would you do that? It's a mobile quarterback that doesn't throw the ball well to receivers. Like, Justin Fields was great at Ohio State, but that's because Ohio State has the best damn recruits in the Big Ten. So they win every game that's played in the Big Ten because they have the best recruits in the Big Ten. And
their team's so good. Look at all the other guys around in the NFL that are Ohio State Pro Bowlers, and they're not quarterbacks.
But his struggle was being accurate. So, like, it's the same exact thing. You'd be drafting the same quarterback to replace the quarterback that shouldn't even be replaced. You should see what he has. Give him a year to see what he has. But beyond that, I also don't even think we're going to take a quarterback. Like, that's my second point. I think this is, again, I just said in my last rant was that the media just gets thrown information and spoon-fed information for them to put out, and they put every single piece of it out. I swear to God, other cities, that's the word I was looking for, other cities who have reporters just like us, they will get information, they will look at it, they will try to decipher if it is good information or not, and they will pick and choose what they're putting out. Philadelphia puts out every single piece of information. Natalie Eganoff has started getting sources. Like, not everybody can have sources, Kieran. You know that.
Take on the Bears thing.
Yeah, but not everybody can have sources. Like, who are the sources if they're giving information to every single media member in the city? They don't have sources. They have people within the organization that are telling them things that they are trying to see. No, not even hearing. I really think it's people in the organization, like, they're giving the media information, knowing they'll throw it out to the fans so they can get a quick gauge on how good or how bad it's going to be. Like, if I'm not saying they're going to listen to the fans, but if every single fan is like, no, Justin Fields, screw that, I highly doubt they would draft Justin Fields. If, like, some of the fan base was like, like, I could get behind that. Yeah, I could see Howie drafting Justin Fields. Like, it's a terrible, like, they need to vet what is being said to them. They have to start doing it. And journalism, we went through this. We yelled about this on our last show. There are ethics in journalism. Start to use them, please, and thank you.
We're trying. Loosely. I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. But I mean, right, Zach, let me ask you this, right? Like, where are you with this whole idea of being in the Giants position, right? Like, because I'm not trying to pick on you here. Like, you were in the Kyler Murray camp, right? So, like, I'm almost going to spin this in, like, Jalen Hurts is like the like Sirianni and Jalen Hurts could maybe be like what you thought the Cardinals could have been with, and can be maybe with Cliff and Kyler Murray, right? Like is that a hot clickbait take, or is where are you with that?
Well, I mean, I don't think Jalen Hurts is as good as Kyler Murray. I mean, Kyler Murray at one point was like in the MVP conversation midway through the season. But I could see, yeah, I mean, I think they could be Cliff and Kyler Jr., and then see how it goes the first year. I think they have possibility, like, there's potential there. I think Sirianni, he's kind of going under the radar, and I think he might be better than what some people think, so.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I've never, like, Chad, you kind of mentioned, like, no one's talking about Sirianni.
Oh, no, no one even knows our coach.
And like Doug was like a little bit. Sorry, what were you saying, Zach?
Because even like his press conference, which wasn't like anything to write home about, but like I feel like the Philadelphia media could have tore him up for his press conference, and they didn't because they were so focused on this Wentz and that soap opera, So I don't know. I think we'll see.
No, that's it. Let's top point. Let's see. Let's just spin the wheels a little. Let's get the show rolling here with a little segment transition. It's funny, like we were saying before. I love Ian's suggestion on this with that we were saying that they suggested yesterday as a good segment idea, as a talking point for the show. But we're talking about all the different and cool things that like in traditions in sports and that whole get up. So let me ask you this: what would you say is one of the coolest, if not the coolest, tradition in sports in your opinion? And which is, let's go. It's overrated. You can do without it. I'll say, Zach, you want to go first?
Yeah, so I think one of my favorite traditions, this one popped into my mind because we're kind of getting in the golf swing here. Well, maybe not Northeast, but at least the tournaments, they're starting to heat up with some big name players, is the Masters opening ceremony, where right before the opening tee time, like right early in the morning, it's Jack Nicklaus, Gary Player, and then it used to be Arnold Palmer, rest in peace. They go out and they hit the opening tee shots, right before the first, actual tee time is. And what's really cool is like it's early in the morning. It's like 7 a.m., maybe even earlier. I don't know. But it's around 7 a.m. And like there's hundreds of people there, like to watch these guys tee it off. And
really?
Yeah. And what I think is really cool is like those were players that none of us really were able to watch growing up. Like maybe when we were really young, like late 90s, early 2000s, they would make a random appearance. Like I know Arnie played in the early 2000s a little bit, but we hear about how great those guys were. We see highlights and everything, but you see like if they're like early '80s and they're striping the ball down. It's just so cool to see, like, relive a little bit of history of the greatest ever play the game. So
plus Augusta National too with that.
Yeah, there's so many things at the Masters tournament, like with traditions. But to me, that's the coolest because you get to see kind of the legends of the game.
Yeah.
It's just fun.
Now, what about overrated? Or you could do without.
The one I could do without, I think it's the worst thing in the world, is the Hall of Fame game.
This is such a good one. That's such a good one.
Like the first week of preseason. It's all fourth stringers.
Yeah, literally. Like I remember it was like, what was it, like 5 years ago? The Giants were in the Hall of Fame game against, I think, the Bills or something, and I actually got excited to watch it because it's first football in 6 months, whatever. Giants are in it. I put it on and I watched like the first half. I was like, this is extremely irrelevant because none of these guys are even going to make the team. And everything, and like the whole Canton Hall of Fame stuff is great, but like, why do you need to have a fifth preseason game for these?
You got Al Michaels on the call, Eli Manning.
Just have the Hall of Fame game be one of the first preseason. Like it doesn't have to be a whole week early.
It doesn't have to be special.
Yeah, like just
do it.
And if you want it to be special, it's still preseason. If the other games start on Thursday that week, have the Hall of Fame game be Wednesday or Tuesday. Right. Like no one's going to care. It's the preseason. The starters are going to play a possession anyway.
And they didn't play at all in that game.
I was gonna say it's so funny too because every time you see the commercials like mid-July when you're just like so horny for football and then you're just like Falcons, like like Texans or whatever, like Hall of Fame game, you're just kind of like, oh yeah, then it's like you turn it on, you're like, oh man, Matt Schaub's not even dressed like for the Falcons, like yikes, like it's like that.
I will say what's great about that game, but it's just Chris Collinsworth in himself is like. He's no different in that game than he is in like the fourth quarter of a regular season game where everything, like, it's all on the line. Like he'll be talking about like someone that played like Division III lacrosse and be like, oh, well, this guy's a gamer.
And you're just like, that is a competitive dude on the gridiron. It's like, oh wow, what a take.
He played against Blue Mountain State last year.
About to, all right, so I'll go next here. Okay, so you were saying, Chad, you felt like you were going a lot, so I'll self-center myself for a little bit. No, because I don't do that enough. All right, I'll go with mine. And I always just like this. I think hockey culture in general. Of course, I have my Philadelphia accent to that, but I just in general have always enjoyed the hockey culture, right? And obviously at the end of a series, they do the handshake in the playoffs. Which I always love. I just feel like it's just a cool tradition. And then you spice to Zach. I'll just double off real quick on the thing I hate the most: the Pro Bowl. So any meaningless football game to me is sucks. So like, there's my one that sucks. But
that's a good one.
But yeah, no, handshake for me for hockey. And it's funny, Chad, I got the graphic up and shaking hands because yours is the hockey circuits too, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right.
We don't not to. Pause everything. We don't see that many handshakes anymore. I mean, obviously with COVID, but even pre-COVID, like you don't see that often in sports that much anymore, right? Like, I mean, people
hugs and they're dapping each other up, all that kind of
jersey
stuff.
Swapping
jerseys,
yeah. But no. So mine, sticking with hockey, the one that I like the most, tradition-wise, is playoff beards. Like I don't know what about it. Like, I guess it's because I constantly grow out a beard. But like, it's so cool to me that these guys will play a full season, and then shave themselves completely bare and just grow it out for however long they're in the playoffs. And then by the time the Stanley Cup rolls around, you have at least like 6-7 guys from each team that have beards like down to there. Like,
lumberjack beards.
Yeah, like it is. It's
like
so
Portland
cool
hazy IPA beards.
Yeah,
and beards.
Yeah, so it's to me like that. I think that's just really cool, and it's like it's a whole sport thing. It's not like two teams do it, and like you have to wait for them to make the Stanley Cup, like, or make the playoffs. Like every single team does it. Like at least a couple guys on every team. So I think that's awesome. The one that I really don't like, and I actually was talking about this at work today with a couple coworkers trying to decide what's something I don't like, and it's got to be baseball having the meeting at home plate every single game of every series. Like I get it for the first game of the series because you may need to like go over the ground rules for that specific stadium if one of the two or not one of the two coaches, if the opposing coach has never been there before and just doesn't know and has to like tell the rest of the team. But at this point in time, like these guys all understand ground rules and like the stadiums aren't that much different and nothing really changes that much unless you're down in Tampa Bay and you have those stupid catwalks that if it hits it, it's a foul ball. But beyond that, like that was supposed to be like, back in like 1918 where they had to like exchange the lineup card and they didn't have social media. Like now I know the lineup an hour before the game. So I'm damn sure the other opposing team knows the lineup. Like you don't need to sit there and exchange lineup cards. So I don't know. It just seems weird and outdated.
Well, and I love what the chat was saying too, to keep in the baseball circuits. What they were saying was they love the tradition of the All-Star game and making some ballpark food, some hot dogs and stuff at home watching the game. The All-Star, like the MLB All-Star games, like it's that point. I feel like it's one of the only fun, like it's the only good All-Star game. I mean, that's why the Pro Bowl line that sucked. Like,
yeah. I mean, they're able to try without getting hurt. That's pretty much what it comes down to. Like basketball, I get it. Like, there's not much risk of injury, but there
still is.
Like if you're running full speed, you as much as they run full speed in that sport, like you could roll an ankle, you could tear, pull anything like in your leg, like all of that stuff is bound to happen. And then like we saw it with Embiid and LeBron, like the smallest push when you're up in the air as a big man, you come down hard and that can mess up something in your body like for a long time.
How cool would it be real quick if the Pro Bowl was like, instead of like MLB, how like it used to be with the All-Star game, how like home field with the World Series was determined. You know how they're going to probably do the 17th game thing where like it's going to be like they should do whoever wins the Pro Bowl who has the home game that year, the next year. That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, but I still don't think people would try like that. There's so much on the line for them, and like you're never going to get those guys to tackle each other the right way in that game. Like, Sean Taylor was like the only guy to ever do it.
All right, but let's just kick it back into the baseball circuits though. Speaking of All-Star games and all that, spring training's first, right? So. I mean, so pitchers and catchers. I mean, it's like I'm excited, but it's just I'm looking at the snow right now, so it's like it's hard to. But pitchers and catchers reported for most teams. I mean, there's a little bit of baseball. I mean, we don't have to obviously jump in to do a whole segment of like, so guys, who's going to win the World Series this year? No, but like we'll do a little house cleaning. I mean, Chad, it's been a weird day. I mean, and not really a great one for you guys with Wentz being traded and then JT. Realmuto fracturing his thumb for the Phils, although it looks like he's ready for opening day.
Yeah, you want to know when that happened, Kieran?
When?
5 days ago.
Did it really?
So that just proves to my point that these guys know absolutely nothing in this city, and they get spoon-fed information that people within organizations want them to hear, because if somebody, like the best catcher in baseball that we just re-signed, fractures his thumb 5 days ago and we don't figure out until today, that's got to tell you something. Mm-hmm. Has to tell you something. Sorry, no, I'm done with my ranting now on that.
No, you're good.
Oh, you're right.
No, and Zach, I'm sure there's a little caveat of like how they're not like reporters also aren't at these practices as much, and well, I mean obviously going down to spring training, like it's all virtual, right? We're zooming for everything, so I think that not that I'm defending them at all, God no, but I would give them at least that caveat.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely different for sure, but it's also their job to. Maybe have some relationships and build relationships with these players, right? So maybe get a little inside scoop or like, hey, how you feeling today? Like, whatever. Clickbait. Yeah, right. So,
but I'll tell you something that's not clickbait. Fernando Tatis got paid. Big time. And that's huge. But, I hate asking this as the first question in this whole thing, but I did see like a tweet that maybe it did make me think about it. It was like, him being, I think, the 27th out of 30 markets in baseball for San Diego, it was just kind of like, that's not good for baseball. He's probably the best player in the game, maybe besides like Trout or like whatever, right? Like, but I don't know. Like, A, does that even matter? Like that whole take, and B, like, is it true if it does matter?
I don't really think it matters too much.
What's the question? I got lost there.
No, you're good. That was a lot there. No, basically saying like I saw a tweet saying that Tatis being, basically signed this long-term deal for, God knows, I'm trying to look at like how deep it will be. 14 years, yeah. So
14 years.
Yeah, so 14-year deal, and basically saying like if he's on the 27th out of 30 like teams in the market, like if you will, like viewership, like how's that good for baseball if their stars on like the least marketable teams, if you will?
Yeah, no, I think that's completely wrong. Because of one, the amount of good players on his team, like he's not the only guy on that team. So that mixed with the like, I said this yesterday. I don't think I said it to you guys, but I said another group message I'm in. We're about to witness a damn good rivalry, like the Padres-Dodgers rivalry. Yeah, like that is going to.
Five. Alex would love that.
It started to heat up.
Feeling that being a SoCal guy.
Like it started to heat up last year. It is just going to intensify even more as the years go on. A lot of those guys from both teams are locked up for a long time, so they're just going to be going at each other for years and years and years. And people are saying the Padres are never going to win that division. They'll win that division. Like the Dodgers have been the long stay in that division for years, but like they're getting to that point now where like they're doing the Eagles routine, signing guys for 1 year, Trevor Bauer, signing guys for 1 year just to come out there and win while having some other other guys that are going to grow on their team that are pretty good at Mookie Betts, like that kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
The Padres are going to contend for this division. They're going to win it. Like maybe not this year, but down the line. So it is going to be very fun to watch those two duel it out there.
Yeah, I think it's the same like saying, "Oh, Patrick Mahomes signed in Kansas City," or Aaron Rodgers signed in Green Bay. Like it's not like New York or LA, but like they're still, it's still all good. So I agree. I think it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I like that. That's a good take. And I'll say real quick, you guys pumped for the Tahoe games in the NHL? But I feel like we don't do, and we'll get to this. I keep like poking my head too, like during the show, watching the Flyers see how they're doing. But those Tahoe games should be fun this week, right? Or weekend, I should say.
It looks really cool. I mean, I think playing in like that scenery, it would be incredible. It's unfortunate that there can't be any fans there. But I think it's exciting. Saturday you got the Avalanche against Vegas Golden Knights, and you got obviously Sunday Flyers Bruins. So some top ranked teams in their division playing each other.
It does.
So it should be great hockey.
It's on my bucket list. Have you guys been there before?
No.
It's on my bucket list to go there. Jay's been there a few times.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Oh no! Apparently, you can experience all 4 seasons in a day. Like, you can go to the beach, you can go skiing, you can go hiking, like it's cool. Like it's like you can do the whole get up.
Yeah, that's really cool. No, I mean I think the whole concept of playing hockey outside is really cool, and I'm glad they do it. Once a year.
Yeah, and also let's look at the standings real quick too. So obviously the divisions are a little bit different with like you got like the Central, you got the East, and then you got like the North, which is like the Canadian, and then I guess the West. Florida's leading the Central right now. I mean, and then in Chicago, which is what world are we living in all of a sudden? We're like, hey, do you know the Panthers and the Blackhawks are tied for the Central lead? Of course, because everyone knows Miami's in the central part of America. But anyway, and in the East, right? Boston's been cooking. The Islanders are obviously really good. The Flyers are on a little bit of a hiatus, which Chad, I'm okay with because they'll have games in hand to make up. But it's that point. Washington's playing well. Yeah. Yeah, and then obviously they'll be in the top. So at that point, they'll be playing the Bruins, I believe, right? Pull up the schedule real quick. So the Tahoe games are going to be So the Bruins and the Flyers are playing at 3 on Sunday, and then the Avalanche and the Golden Knights are playing 3 o'clock on Saturday Eastern time. That is. And then real quick, pulling up the other side of the standings. And Zach, I want your Sabres take in a second here on this too. But real quick, pulling up the other side, you got the Canadian or AKA the North. With Toronto leading, which, is not a total shock. Montreal's a gritty team, though. They're really good. And then out west, Vegas has been just really good. I mean, honestly, since their inception in the league. And then St. Louis has rallied after, a tough year after their Stanley Cup run. And then, and Colorado looks pretty good. Obviously, they're one of the favorites from the Stanley Cup. So what do you guys make of this whole year? And Zach, first year, I want you to take this first. As a Sabres fan, it's your first year. Like, what are you feeling about your squad and just this whole NFL chase, or NHL, geez, I can't talk, NHL chase in general?
No, I'm loving the chase for sure. I'm a little I'm frustrated because with the whole COVID protocol issues the Sabres had, they've been able to play for over 2 weeks. And I mean, while we weren't hot by any means, we were 4-4-2. At one point we were 4-3-2, I guess. I mean, it's still early in the season, so it's kind of irrelevant. But we were up to 5th in the Eastern standings. Like we were in the thick of it, and we still aren't out of it by any means. But I thought we had some pretty good mojo going, and then that happened. The 2 week hiatus happened, and then our first 2 games back, we lost 3-1 and then 3-0 to the Islanders. So, and we're losing 1-0 right now. So we've kind of came back extremely flat. We still don't have all the players back, but not making excuses. I think the team, Michael, he's been playing. He's only scored, I think, 2 goals this season, which is interesting. But he gets like 1 or 2 assists every game, so he's always involved. But I don't know, our defense, like Rasmus Dahlin, I know everyone thinks he's supposed to be amazing, but he's kind of not really doing anything for me, at least as a first-year fan. So we'll see. I mean, the team's young. There's a lot of guys, that are on a contract year, so I don't know how long this team really will be together. I really like the Taylor Hall addition. I think he's really been I think he's really been vital for us this year. But again, 1-year deal, so I don't know if he'll even be around longer than a cup of coffee, as you like to say, Kieran.
Yeah.
No, it's been fun though. I actually do look forward to the games. It's a nice little break up to the work week. I'm enjoying it for sure. Like the team a lot. It's just I'm just frustrated because of the hiatus that there was.
Welcome to our world, buddy. It sucks.
Yeah.
But I was just saying, but do you guys want to punt show versus streets on next week? I feel like all we're going to do is talk about like Carson Wentz and like ugly football vibes, which we basically do like a 45-minute like debrief on anyway. Unless you guys felt something, you can do it.
I have a good little mini story to tell you.
Oh, I'm down for that. Story time with Chad, eh?
You know my little I don't even know what the right word is, but how I hate -105 bets.
Sure, yeah.
Because
in the betting world, yeah.
They never hit. Yeah. So anyway, I'm in a group message with a couple of my friends, and it's all for betting. And I believe FanDuel had a boost that was DJ, Bryson, Koepka, and Spieth all to make the cut, and they boosted it up to +200. But I could see right next to the +200 that it started at a -105. So they're all like, dude, we got to take this. Like, they're all going to make the cut. Like, there's no way they don't make the cut. And I saw the -105, and I'm like, guys, I need you to believe me here. -105s don't hit. Like, they don't hit. They're cursed. I don't know what it is. They don't hit. And they immediately spewed back to me like, well, here's the statistics on -105. It's actually a 52.6% chance to hit. And I'm like, okay, take it. Go. Have fun, take it. Bryson DeChambeau.
Yeah.
+4, tied for 108 out of 120 after day 1. And you only get one other day to make the cut, so he's going to have to, have at least.
Out, as they say.
Going to have to go at least -4 tomorrow, I'd say, to make the cut.
Have a shot, yeah.
That's wild.
Oh my gosh. I saw that, and I was salivating at it too. I didn't take it, but I was like, man, that sounds really good. But
I'm telling you, Zach, -105s. It is insane. I don't know what it is about that line. It's just terrible.
It's like we're closer to even up now, so try to get everyone to take it. But.
Well, I'll tell you, speaking of lines, have you guys seen the fighting lines this weekend?
I haven't.
No.
Zach, hype it up! Come on, this is gonna be fun stuff. I'm so excited. We got Chad. This is huge. We talked about obviously on Tuesday, but a little fight night coming up this weekend.
Yeah, we got Sonny the Bronco Canto, pride of South Philly. He's out in Vegas taking on Waldo Cortez.
Woo!
And a heavyweight fight, a little 4-round action, a little 4-rounder. I think you said it's around 8 p.m. Eastern time on ESPN Plus.
I'm gonna look and see there's a line right now on FanDuel.
In the top rank boxing circuits, so it's cool. Yeah, Sonny's 6-0. I believe Waldo's 7-3 or 6-3. So it's been quite a while since Sonny last fought. I think it's been almost a year, Kieran.
It's been.
They were supposed to fight last June, I believe, and obviously COVID stuff and other things happened. So yeah, it's exciting. Yeah, local guy. We had him on our show. Great.
Oh, I'm so pumped for this.
Great dude. Yeah, even better boxer. So it's pretty cool, and wish him all the best of luck, of course.
The third down music might be cooking on. on that fight. Like trying to look and try to see.
Although he's a righty, his left hook is monstrous. Remember, he was telling us that. Remember?
Yeah.
So and we watched the highlights. So Waldo's got a long night or short night actually.
Yeah. I'm pumped. I'm so excited. And it was his birthday this week, so we gotta give him a shout out. Happy birthday to Sonny too. It's pumped. And it's also Emily's sister Nicole's birthday too. So a lot of birthdays today. Or well, I guess Sonny's was earlier this week, but it's a birthday week. I love the vibes. So everyone, hope everyone has a happy birthday there. Now let me ask you this: so if he wins, what does that mean in the fighting world, Zach? Like, is 7-0 like is that like a? I really don't know how to ask this question. Like, I was going to say, is like 7-0. Like, is it matter about like who you beat, or is it about how many wins you have? Like, kind of like what does that mean? Like, if he wins this one, is it like because obviously we're talking about he spars with Tyson Fury and stuff like that. Like, there's so I'm just excited to see his road. Like, what would be next if he won this one?
Yeah, I think he's still fairly young in his professional career. Usually you see a lot of like title fights or contender fights with at least 15, wins. It could be different now, though. I don't know the top rank system as well as others, but it depends on who he beats and how many wins he has, long story short. So I think because this is a 4-round fight and not a 12-rounder, which is a cool deal, I think he still has several wins he has to have to get into like those contender type shots, But he's making his way for sure. So he's still. And usually, like a boxer's prime, your prime can be depending on how if you're Mike Tyson, your prime was when you were 18, so basically 30. But I think Sonny's really hitting in his prime right now. He's in his mid-20s. So
yeah. And I'll tell you, before we wrap things up, too, I saw you posted this, and not to like end the show on a sour note, but Zach, it does suck that was it 20 years ago Dale Earnhardt passed away.
Yeah, I was actually going to bring that up as we end the show, so you got my mind.
There you go. Hey, man. Hey, we got chemistry, baby.
I know, that's right. 20 years ago, yeah. I remember where I was. I remember everything about that day.
And it just sucks, right? Obviously it sucks. Like, there's it's like no shit. Like, it's a horrible. Like you said, it's weird. I don't know anything about NASCAR, but at the same point, I remember like kind of pausing and being like, oh my God, like I think asking like my dad too, like do people die in like NASCAR? Like is that normal? Like it wasn't normal. Like I remember my parents like telling me it wasn't. It's crazy. Like when you actually think about all that, it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah,
like so I don't know. I said it's right open-ended way of like throwing it out at you guys.
No, it's sad for sure. Like his mentality that he brought to that sport was incredible, and just his dominance is like it's rare. And I was gonna
add. You saw what his Dale Earnhardt Jr. said. Like this is what I love, and like this is what I think is so cool about his son's legacy is like how he took what his dad's made. And Zach, you can speak this way more as a NASCAR guy. Like he took his dad's mantle, and like he says he wouldn't have been the racer without his dad. And like that's what like puts a smile on my face, just like knowing that. You know what I mean? Like it's I don't know. I just like to me, I just look at it. It's like it's cool seeing that happy, if you will, like it's the light that shines through it, like with his son and stuff, and like I don't know.
Yeah, it's cool, and I don't know if you saw. I think it was on Sunday. Yeah, it was Sunday. They ESPN did an E60 on like the legacy of Dale Earnhardt and how it wasn't even fully about his racing, but it was more about like the safety aspects of NASCAR ever since he passed away. So he's the last NASCAR racer to pass away during a race because of the safety precautions, like everything.
Well, and Garrett talked about that. Remember when we talked about that on the show when he came on about like all the different the amount of like lives have been saved. I'm sure
he's
to the racing
saving away. You're right. Yeah, exactly.
Right. And I'm looking at the chat. Yeah. Everyone, Zach, did we all curse tonight?
Did I curse? I don't remember.
I thought you did right out of the gate, but I could have been wrong. Huh. No, you said damn it. So that's not like cursing.
Yeah.
That's like that's a foul tip. It's like that's nothing. Like that's like
my knuckles. Yeah.
At Shanahan that was something. That's a 250.
Right, yeah. No more demerits here.
I know, God. I mean, did I just ruin the moment with like bringing up something like that? God help us. That was all right. Let me salvage this moment here, and to that point, as we work towards the weekend, we'll have some cool stuff. And to that point, we're talking more about Sonny's fight. So we'll have we'll replay that interview too. So we'll repost all this stuff on social media, just kind of give everyone a heads up on that. That was a really fun interview. I mean, I was obviously earlier back in the fall this past year, but to that point, If you follow us on social media, Spotify and iTunes for all the audio episodes, but more so, obviously, just check us out on social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Reddit at _GetSidetracked. And then the site, www.get-sidetrack.com. And we'll give you the whole rundown on the interview with Sonny, and like we'll obviously be, hyping all that up and all sorts of cool stuff and content over the weekend. So yeah, cool stuff there. And then go to Twitch for video episodes. Heart to the left for the follow, and subscription to the right for the Amazon Prime. I'm trying to always find different ways to like make it like kind of fresh to be like, hey, by the way, like do it, but to that point, maybe you're not a Twitch person, maybe you're a YouTube person. That's free. So yeah, I don't even have to sell that. All you have to do is hit the subscribe button. And get all sorts of cool highlights and cool stuff with the show. So check that out. And then, they're not Colts colors, but they're kind of blue and white. But you can check us out at the Sidetrack store for all the cool merchandise. I don't know why I was teasing the Colts there. It's just we're talking about tonight. They're also Giants, kind of in a sense, right, Zach? Blue and white, and I mean, they're honestly like more like '90s Marlins. Like early's Marlins, like Jeff Conine Marlins, like a little bit with like the teal and the I don't know.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
All right, but
Karen, hold on. I have one more idea.
I love this.
So you know how we want to go out to Lambeau next year?
Of course.
I think we bring your Lambeau shirt that you designed, and we get my Death Taxes Devontae Adams touchdowns design on T-shirts, and we just bring a massive amount and either sell them for cheap, which technically I think that's illegal to do around a stadium, or just give them out and like just grow.
Have a T-shirt party.
There you go.
Yeah, like just grow our brand, but also just like I really want that Death Taxes Devontae Adams touchdown to stick.
Let's design that. Let's definitely design that. I need
that to stick. Like he is such a good. It's like he's the guy that does it. He scores every game.
Zach, this is such an offline thing to ask you, but like let's just do it on the show for fun. Do you think Kelly would be able to like design some type of like the way like he held the ball up to Rodgers like he did like a Death Taxes she like did like the draw because she's so talented.
Oh, I'm sure.
If we gave her the picture, we're like, yo, can you like kind of do like your thing with this and like make a graphic out of this? Like that would be almost so worth the money.
Oh, I'm sure. 100%.
Yeah, and then you're not breaking any copyrights there because you're making a drawing out of a picture.
Exactly, and she's so good. So we're talking about that. I love this. All right, awesome. All right, but at that point, this is fun. And then we wrap up another week here. Getting through February. We're surviving the snow. But one thing everyone for the chat. There was a lot of fun. We had a ton of viewers. A lot of the chat was great tonight. Really appreciate everyone, and it was so much fun just talking about all the stuff with the NFL world, and then obviously all the miscellaneous stuff with like with baseball, etc. But yeah, we love hearing from everyone. We'll I guess see everyone in the living room at Monday 7:00, and one more announcements, chat. I'm gonna almost like kind of tease it at that, but yeah, we'll get to all that. So just like I said, check us out on social media, and we'll